You fear stillness because it shows you everything you've been trying to forget. You can entertain a room, you can outthink a crisis, you can laugh your way through storms, but when you're alone, when there's no one left to perform for, the silence grows loud enough to expose you. You don't run because you love the chase. You run because standing still would mean facing what you buried. You've made momentum your identity. You became the spark, the one who makes heavy things light, who spins discomfort into laughter, who carries the room without ever asking for anything in return, and they love you for it. But what happens when you can't outrun the ache anymore? What happens when the applause fades and the only voice left is the one you've spent years silencing? Who are you when there's nothing left to impress? Who are you when there's nowhere else to go? You didn't just become fast, you became addicted to escaping yourself. Every clever idea, every new venture, every impulsive pivot was another mile between you and the truth. Because deep down, you knew stillness would expose the spaces inside you that no achievement could fill. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And if you're honest, the real terror has never been failure. The real terror is that if you stop performing, if you stop dazzling, someone might see the parts of you even you don't want to see. And worse, you might have to see them too. The trickster inside you, the one who laughs, improvises, adapts, was never just playing. He was guarding the gates to your shadow, and the shadow is patient. It smiles when you pivot. It claps when you entertain. It waits for the moment when the lights go out and you're left blinking in the dark. This is where the real battle begins. And not against the world, against the illusions you built to survive it. You've been admired by crowds. But have you ever been understood by yourself? You can keep running, or you can turn for the first time and face what's been waiting in the silence. The choice was always yours, and the clock is still ticking. You can only sprint for so long before the ground starts pulling at your feet. At first you call it a rough patch, a slump, a season of low energy. You tell yourself you just need a new goal, a new project, a new thrill. But deep down you recognize the feeling. It's not exhaustion from doing too much. It's exhaustion from running too far, away from yourself. You're not chasing dreams anymore. You're chasing distance. You weren't just building. You were escaping. You weren't just creating. You were camouflaging. And now, for the first time, even the distractions are starting to feel hollow. The cleverness that once dazzled now tastes like dust. The noise that once saved you now rings empty. The momentum you once worshipped now drags behind you like a heavy chain. And here in this strange and terrifying quiet, you are faced with the one thing you spent a lifetime evading. Not failure, not irrelevance, yourself. Carl Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And your darkness has been patient. It has watched you create empires on quicksand. It has watched you laugh while your heart starved. There's a story ancient tribes tell of a man who tried to outrun his own shadow. Faster he sprinted across fields and rivers, through forests and deserts, but no matter how hard he pushed, the shadow stayed. Until he collapsed beneath a tree, too weak to lift his head. And only then, only in the collapse, did the shadow vanish. He didn't need more speed. He needed to surrender. How long have you been sprinting from your own shadow? How many dreams have you abandoned mid-run? How many parts of yourself have you left gasping behind you? Stillness isn't the enemy. Stillness is the teacher. Silence isn't emptiness. It's revelation. It isn't comfort that breaks you. It's truth. And truth doesn't arrive with fanfare. It arrives quietly when there are no more distractions left to hide behind. You thought moving faster would save you, but it only postponed the inevitable meeting. And now, here you are. No script, no audience, no escape hatch, just you. And the parts of yourself you thought you buried too deep to ever find again. The collapse isn't your end, it's your beginning. If you have the courage to stay, you don't realize it at first. It slips in sideways without an announcement. A little less joy when you wake up, a little more numbness when you finish a project you used to live for. You tell yourself it's a phase, a seasonal thing, a cost of doing big things. You try to sprint harder, think faster, laugh louder, but deep down you know The fuel you've been burning all this time wasn't infinite. It wasn't passion anymore. It was escape. You reach for the old tricks, the new ideas, the witty distractions, the dopamine hits of momentum, but they don't hit the way they used to. They pass through you now like water through cupped hands. And somewhere in the tiredness between one more attempt at brilliance, you catch yourself in the mirror. Not a physical reflection, something deeper, a flash of your real self staring back. And for a heartbeat, you realize you don't recognize who you've become. You're still moving, you're still performing, but the energy isn't coming from possibility anymore. It's coming from panic. It's the moment the fast mind dreads more than anything. Not failure, not criticism, stillness. And in that stillness, the terrifying realization that your cleverness, your speed, your energy, they weren't your essence. They were your camouflage. The exhaustion you feel isn't from doing too much. It's from being too far from yourself. There's a story the old ones told around fires at night about a man who sprinted across mountains, rivers, deserts, desperate to leave his shadow behind, believing that if he could just run fast enough, far enough, he could outrun the part of himself he didn't want to see. But no matter how fast he moved, the shadow stayed, matching him, stride for stride, laughing softly at his fear, until one day, broken and breathless, the man collapsed beneath the branches of a gnarled tree. For the first time, he let the ground hold him. For the first time, he stopped trying to escape. And as he lay there, something astonishing happened. The shadow dissolved. He hadn't needed more speed. He had needed surrender. How many years have you been running? How many versions of yourself have you abandoned just to keep the illusion alive? The mirror refusing to smile back isn't a punishment, it's an invitation. A crack in the armor you've spent a lifetime polishing, and through that crack something ancient and undefeated begins to whisper. You were never meant to sprint forever, you were meant to awaken. The collapse isn't the end of your story. It's the doorway you were always meant to walk through, if you have the courage not to run this time. There's a silence you can only hear after you've run out of places to run. At first it feels unbearable, not because it hurts, but because it doesn't demand anything from you. And for someone who has spent a lifetime earning their existence through motion, that feels like annihilation. But slowly, if you stay, if you resist the old reflex to scramble for noise, if you let yourself sink beneath the familiar panic, you begin to notice something else. There's a stillness that isn't emptiness, it's presence. It's not that the world goes quiet. It's that you finally stop screaming over it. You start to notice the sound of your own breathing, deep and slow. You start to feel your body not as a machine to be optimized, but as a home you abandoned. You start to hear the first shy questions rising from the parts of you you left behind. When did I stop trusting myself? When did I decide that stillness was failure? What if I've been more lost in my running than I ever was in my resting? Carl Jung wrote, who looks outside, dreams, who looks inside, awakes. An awakening doesn't arrive with a thunderclap. It arrives like a slow exhale after years of holding your breath. You realize the shadow you feared wasn't there to destroy you. It was there to show you where you left yourself behind. The trickster inside you, the clever, quick, chaotic spirit, was never trying to mock you. He was trying to save you. By leading you into a labyrinth of movement so complex, so exhausting that eventually you would have no choice but to stop. And when you stop, you find that stillness was never your enemy. Stillness is the meeting place. Stillness is the altar. Stillness is where the soul speaks, not in shouts, but in whispers. You were never meant to be only fast. You were meant to be whole. The light you've been chasing across distractions, across performances, across miles of noise, it was never somewhere else. It was always here, waiting, patiently burning at the center of your being. It didn't need your cleverness. It didn't need your brilliance. It only needed your surrender. Stillness doesn't erase your old reflexes. You'll still feel the urge to move faster than your fear. You'll still hear the whisper to chase something new when the silence grows too heavy. But now you recognize it for what it is, a ghost, a habit you no longer have to obey, because stillness has changed you. It taught you that you don't have to perform to be worthy. You don't have to outrun emptiness to find meaning. You don't have to drown yourself in movement just to prove you're alive. You are not alive because you are busy. You are alive because you are breathing, because you are aware, because you are willing to sit in the sacred ache of becoming. There's a power that grows in the quiet spaces, the kind that doesn't need applause to exist, the kind that doesn't collapse when the world forgets to clap, the kind that remembers your worth was never tied to your velocity. You were never broken for moving fast. You were broken by believing you couldn't stop. And now, piece by piece, you are gathering yourself back. Not the fragments the world celebrated, not the masks that kept you safe. The real pieces, the ones that don't sparkle in a crowd, the ones that hum in the dark. Carl Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And becoming is not a sprint, it's a return. It's a remembering. It's the slow, trembling choice to stand still long enough for your soul to catch up. You realize now you were never chasing dreams. You were chasing yourself across lifetimes of distraction, and the one you were chasing has been here all along, waiting, patient, unimpressed by your performances, unwilling to settle for your illusions, loving you too much to leave. Stillness was never the enemy. It was the compass. It was the quiet knocking at the door you locked against your own becoming. And now, as you stand here, raw, breathing, whole, you face a different kind of choice, not to run, not to perform, but to live, to walk into your life unarmored. To let the silence walk with you, not behind you, because you no longer need to be faster than your fear. You no longer need to outshine your shadow. You no longer need to escape your own reflection. You are already enough. You are already home. And if you're ready to reclaim every piece of yourself, if you're ready to break the cycle of endless motion and breathe in the life you almost outran, then let this be your first step. Tonight, turn everything off. The screens, the noise, the race. Sit with the silence you once feared. Breathe it in. Let it show you who you really are. And when that first real breath finds you, not the breath you take to keep running, but the one you take to finally stay, you'll know. You'll know you are no longer a ghost sprinting through your life. You are a soul awake at last. And if this journey called something deeper in you, if you are ready to honor the life waiting behind your distractions, then smash that like button like you are breaking the old spell. Share this with the ones you know are still running, and subscribe not for more noise, but for more truth. This is not the end. This is the beginning you were always meant to find, and it starts with a single sacred breath.